Hey there, this is Dustin Dart. I'm here with my good pal Jordan Sandberg. Today we're going to have a little conversation about sales, about business, about life, about success, about struggles, and who knows what else. So, Jordan, it's a pleasure to be here with you, my friend.
You too. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about who Jordan Sandberg is. Who are you? Where you come from? What are you all about?
Thanks, Dustin. Like Dustin said, I'm Jordan Sandberg. I grew up in Layton, Utah. I'm 38 years old, the 38, right? I'm a little old. I have no hair left.
Got some experience.
I've got some experience. I'm still there.
Yeah.
But, so grew up in Layton, went to Weber State. I've been in technical sales for the last 15 years. And so you and I have known each other for long time, since grade school.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to kind of partner up with you and talk about sales and help people with their careers, and that's really why I'm here.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you have a desire to serve. That's good. I know you've been really successful in sales, but success doesn't come without its beatings, I guess.
No doubt.
You have that's the glory, right? The glory is the success. It's the big money that you earn, but there's some dark times. Tell us a little bit about a time that you struggled in sales.
Too many. So I've had some major ups and I've had some major downs. One struggle that I've had was during the recession. So wind the clocks back maybe for a few years before the recession. I had massive success. I had a child with a learning disability. I had lots of bills. I had lots of things that were happening. And I was so successful, I could write a check really for anything. And it was not a problem. And the recession came, and I went from making, X to making X minus a lot. And it squeezed me pretty tight. And it wasn't all my fault. Everybody in the company really was struggling. Our company had a layoff. I had to let go some of my best people that were working with me.
Yeah.
And it was really hard. It was a really dark time actually in my career. And during that time where I had this child that had some needs, it was hard. I went from being able to provide him all the help he needed to really providing him very little. And it was a struggle.
Yeah, so.
And anyways, what I learned throughout that experience was sometimes you just have to outlast whatever the problem is. I hadn't done anything wrong. I didn't lose my technique. I didn't lose a big client. We lost everybody.
Yeah.
Because I was in staffing, and it was in the middle of the recession when people couldn't get jobs anyways. So why would they pay for them? And I stuck it out. I was not let go. I wasn't laid off. I fought through that hard time. And one of my biggest accomplishments was we had a yearly quota. They called it the contest. And there were years where I hit that contest in May. And that year I hit it on December 31st at midnight.
Wow.
Yeah, it was midnight. We're counting pennies to see if I made it.
Unbelievable.
And but I think the only reason I was able to do that was I outlasted my problem. I stuck to the fundamentals. I kept doing what I was supposed to be doing. I believed in myself. And I knew that at some point it was going to turn around. And that was probably one of my biggest successes, even though it wasn't my biggest year. To hit your quota the last day of the year at the last hour, it's not impressive.
Yeah.
But for me, that was one of my biggest wins.
Yeah.
Because I fought to the death, and there was nothing that was going to stop me.
That is awesome, man. Awesome story, but you still got it at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
You still got it, man. New Year's Eve was a happy time, right?
Absolutely. It was a great Christmas bonus.
Yeah, no. It's awesome how the stories of struggle are what define us. Those are the moments where we learn the most, For me, I think my biggest struggle was early on in my career. I was struggling as a salesperson. I thought I was going to go out there and just completely destroy it, kill it, but I was actually struggling. And some of you may have heard the story before, but one day I got a phone call from my doctor. And Doc says, "Hey, you got to get down to the office like right away." And so when you get that type of phone call, you know it's not a good thing that's going on with the doctor, you know. And so went down to the doctor, sat down at the table. He comes in with a somber look on his face. And I'm 22 years old, so I'm young. I'm like really, really young. And he says, you know, we took those moles off your back, and one of them was cancer. And I didn't think skin cancer was very serious, but he's like, well, this is melanoma, and it's like actually very serious, and it's very deadly if it's long, or, you know, if it's progressed. And so for 3 to 4 weeks, about a month, there's a time when I'm 22 years old where it's like, dude, I don't know if I'm going to be living here, you know, on the earth here in a few years. I could be dead. Like, I hadn't been married yet. I didn't have any kids yet. And so you start to look deep inside of yourself and what you want out of life. You look about maybe some of your regrets. Even though I was young, I had some regrets. I had some things that I wanted to accomplish. But going through that soul-searching moment, if you've ever had to stare death in the face, that can define you. And at that moment, when I was young in my early career, I made that commitment, like, I'm going to be successful in sales. Like, I'm going to be successful in sales no matter what. And that was that defining moment for me. But I had to look death in the face. You know what I mean? I had to look literally death in the face and say, okay, I'm going to make some decisions. And when I pull through, you know, if I'm lucky enough to pull through, I'm going to make this thing happen. And luckily, we got it taken care of early. And many years later, I'm still around, still here, still healthy, still
Glad
alive
to
and
see
kicking.
it. Absolutely.
You know, so.
Do you think that defined not only your career, but how you live now?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I think, I had this philosophy before, but the philosophy really cemented, and that was basically no regrets. Like, if I wanted to go do something in life, and I really wanted to do it, and I had to sacrifice for it, and I had to give something up for it, do it. Because we're not going to be around here forever. Like, we're going to die, right? Like, sooner or later we're going to die, and that's just all there is to it. And so when you look back, when you're, 85 years old, and you're laying in the bed and you're about to die, and you think back, oh man, I don't want to be in that position where I'm saying, oh, I should have done this, or I could have done that. I don't want to be in that position. And so if there's a risk you want to take it. You know, you might get in a car accident tomorrow. You might be snuffed out. And
awesome.
It doesn't even matter, you know. I mean, it doesn't matter if you were trying to play it safe. We're gonna die sometime, you know. And so, yes, it did define me. And you know, I've lived by this quote from one of my favorite musical bands. Maybe some of you guys can relate to the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Absolutely.
They have a song, and one of them says, "It's better to regret something you did than something you didn't do."
That's beautiful.
So, now, I'm not saying like go out and do something crazy that's going to get you in trouble, but you know what I'm saying? If you want to go do something, go do it and regret that, because if it doesn't work out, at least you tried. Instead of saying, oh man, I could have done something, but I didn't, and man, now I regret it. So yeah, absolutely. Anyways, that's one of my defining philosophies. Is I don't want to be living in regret when I'm older. Just don't want to do it.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for me, when I look back at, I mean, that's a huge moment for you. The one thing I failed to mention during my struggle was, I think what the biggest impact was is I used to come home as a winner. I came home as a winner so long, and then I was coming home and I felt like I was a loser because I couldn't take care of the kids like I did before.
Yeah.
And so having to look them in the face every day and feel like, okay, man, you're not a winner anymore.
Yeah.
It was powerful.
Yeah.
And similar to yours, now I didn't have to stare down death like that.
Yeah.
That's powerful. I've never experienced that. But I did feel like a failure in front of the kids. And I just couldn't.
Yeah.
It was just too much.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming. And so in the beginning it was, I couldn't handle it. And then over time it got to the point where it's what drove me to do something every day.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it was kind of suffocating.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. You know, I've been in that same situation. You know, I had a very highly successful, lucrative sales career, and I had a dream to be the sales trainer. And been in the sales training game for a little while now, but I've been through those struggles where I was a winner. I was number one. I was top dog. I had a lot of money flowing. You know, things were good. I could buy my kids anything. They wanted Power Wheels, whatever. They wanted something, get on Amazon, buy it, no big deal, right? Didn't even think about the money. And then there came a time where in the beginning of this sales training game where, man, you know what? When you start something new, you think it's going to be easy right at the beginning, but you struggle. You know, I speak to the legendary Brian Tracy quite a bit, and he's been one of my mentors, but I was telling this story about struggling in this new business of sales training, and you kind of think, well, you're a sales trainer, you're like a sales guy, you should be able to sell this right out of the gate, right? It's no big deal, but I struggled, and I was telling Brian the same story, and he just started laughing. He's like, oh man, that's funny. He's like, I started out in my own sales training career when he was about 37, 38 years old, my same age, and he said, I had to learn how to sell all over again. I had to learn how to sell my car, how to learn how to sell my house, how to learn how to sell my furniture, and dang near went bankrupt to make this thing happen. But he just said, looking back on it now, you know, everybody knows who Brian Tracy is. He's an absolute legend, top of the game. And he just said those were, it seems weird to say it, but probably some of the best years of my life, because some of the biggest lessons came to me during those times of struggle. You know?
You don't learn that much when you're cruising downhill.
Yeah. Exactly.
You just don't. You learn the most when you're going uphill, into the wind, you know, a hot, horrible, humid day. That's when you learn. Mm-hmm. You just don't learn when you're humming along making tons of money.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. Now, my sales career before I got into this, I was doing really well. And I was coasting on in life. And I finally came to the point where I said, comfort is killing me. I'm so comfortable right now. I mean, sales are rolling in, lots of money, nothing to worry about, but like I wasn't growing. You know, I wasn't growing as a person, and I had to leave that lucrative sales career and do something else for personal growth. And I've got it, man. I've got a lot of personal growth. It's been amazing.
Personal growth. We wish for it, and then we get it.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I don't want it anymore. Hold on. I do not want this anymore.
I'm talking about all this stuff, and I'm struggling too, you know, but it's no, it's been an awesome ride to look back on the struggles and everything else. So it's been really good. So
awesome. So I got a question for you. What's your biggest lesson? I mean, clearly the cancerous road, the live life to the fullest. I mean, all those things have got to be up there. But I mean,
yeah, biggest lesson. So, hey, let's face it. No matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, life can get tough, right? Life can be, it's a struggle sometimes. You know, it could be relationship, it could be health, sales and business, whatever it is. It can be difficult. And it might sound cliche, but this is another lesson I learned from Brian Tracy. He said, if you want to be successful at something, then just plan on never giving up. No matter what, just plan on never giving up, and then you will be successful. It might take you an extra few years. It might mean, hey, you might go bankrupt, or it might mean you have to sell your house. It might mean whatever. Just plan on never giving up, because you will learn what you need to learn and finally be successful. You know? I mean, imagine if Brian Tracy gave up during his struggles. I mean, Brian's helped millions of people across the planet. Still helps millions of people across the planet live a better life. What if he gave up when he was 38 years old? When he was thinking about quitting and selling everything and just going back to get a regular sales job? What if he did? Millions of people would not have the gift that they have right now. He just never gave up. And I think that's the lesson, I guess, in life, is if you want something, if you want whatever, better health, if you want a better relationship, if you want success in sales or business, plan on sticking it out, no matter what the price. Just know there's going to be a price to be paid, and then be willing to pay it, and then never give up.
Awesome.
How about you? What's been the biggest lesson for you?
Hey, I would say the same thing. I mean, I know we're talking about sales right now, and I've been doing that for 15 years, but in life, one thing that I've learned through endurance sports is exactly what you're talking about. You just got to keep going. So everybody has a plan. I think Muhammad Ali said this. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth or punched in the nose or something like that. But endurance sports, I've been competing in triathlons and Ironmans for the last few years.
I forgot to mention this guy's an Iron Man. Right? He's an Iron Man. He's going on his, is this your second Iron Man?
Second Iron Man.
In the next few weeks? That's awesome, man.
Santa Rosa.
That's unbelievable commitment. I mean, you want to talk about lessons.
Yeah, so that I think I've learned, and a lot of my personality has been not defined because I think it was already there, but I think I love endurance sports so much because it fits my personality and the lessons that I've learned in life, in sales, in business, and most of it revolves around not giving up. I mean, and I think the other thing that people don't realize is, So Ironman, for example, you got 3 sports. You've got swim and a bike and a run.
Yeah.
And I'll just tell you, so when people ask, how did you finish? What was your time? Yeah. All those things. And some people get really obsessed with the swim or the bike or I'm the best runner. And for me, I thought I've got to be able to run my race steady enough that I get maybe a B in each sport. And then at the end, that's going to add up to a great race.
Yeah.
So anyways, one of the greatest lessons is, I'll just tell you, so there were 3,000 people that did the Ironman. When I got out of the swim, I was ranked 2,000th. It's not a great number.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was in the bottom third of everyone getting out of the water. By the time I finished the bike, I had passed 750 people. And then by the time I finished the run, I'd passed another 350, something like that.
So top third.
So top third. Yeah. Now, top third out of 3,000 people is still not that impressive to say I was 1,000th place. I didn't get a medal for that. But what I learned was, in life, it's the same way. In this particular moment, you might not be ahead. The next possible moment, as long as you're making incremental progress, I think what you'll find is you'll be amazed that if you do that long enough, most people don't endure the marathon.
Yeah.
Most people either stop early, quit, find a new job, bail on their territory, quit on their relationship. Yeah. And those that say, okay, I can't be the sprinter now, but I'm just going to make an incremental progress over and over and over again, it usually adds up to a fantastic thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm rambling a little bit, but I think at the end of the day, if you don't give up and you give a steady, sweat-worthy effort until the end, I think you'd be surprised what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just during those moments of doubt that a lot of people, they give up in those moments of darkness, but the light's right around the corner. It's the darkest before the dawn type of thing.
Absolutely. If I got out of the water and said, man, I'm ranked 2,000th, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly.
But I passed another 1,000 people.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And it's not because I'm fast. It's not because I'm more gifted. I think it's because I knew, hey, man, this is a long day. I got to just keep going.
Yeah.
And I think our sales career is exactly the same. So many people give up. It's January. Everybody comes out of the gates excited in January.
Yeah.
By March, a lot of that's worn off. You're either set up for the year or not.
Exactly.
And most people think if in March or April I'm not set for the year, they're thinking about, should I find a new job? Should I just start working on the next year? And they don't realize, just fight till the end. Fight till the very end, and you'll be surprised what will happen.
Well, just like your story when you hit your number of December 31st, man, the last day of
the
year. That's awesome.
I remember my boss, even on it was January 1st, the numbers hadn't been totally calculated and confirmed, and he was writing people's names up on the board that hit the goal, and he well, I don't really want to put Jordan's name up there yet. And it was man, it was the last possible minute. It's fantastic.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. No, I think, to be successful or unsuccessful, it just takes that commitment. It takes that all-in type of attitude. I look back on all my successes or all my failures in life, and I felt a lot. But every single one of those failures is like, that was because I wasn't committed. I failed because I gave up, or I failed because I didn't really truly give it that A+ effort because I wasn't all in. And I think that's just a mindset principle of being, dude, it's 100%. You know, like if you could be 110%, which is impossible, you'd be 110%. But dude, it is all in no matter what. And you should put that in your mind that it's going to happen. There's a roadblock here. So what? I'm going to figure out how to overcome it somehow, climb it, whatever, go around it, whatever it happens to be. But my end goal is going to happen. And it might be delayed. I might have to take another path, but it's all in and it's going to happen. If you want to be top 1% of your sales industry, make that your commitment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, don't make it your goal, make it your commitment. I will be top 1%. I'm going to figure out what I need to do. I will learn what I need to learn. I will study what I need to study. I will work until I need to work until I hit that top 1% type of level. Otherwise, it's too easy just to be in the middle of the pack. Like, hey, I'm just going to be an average sales rep or whatever. I think it's a very powerful attitude, and you obviously have to learn that in the Ironman because I'll tell you what, my friend, that's a major commitment right there.
It is a major commitment.
And sacrifice. I mean, you got to train a lot for that.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, good stuff. So, we've been talking about struggle. What's been one of your biggest successes?
I'd say one of my biggest successes is, I'd say the legacy that I've left behind me in sales. Not just sales, but in life. I take people along with me. So I think as salespeople, a lot of us have this reputation that it's all you, right? You roll in, you got your briefcase, and you come in and do your thing and make money, and then you move to the next sale. And what I've prided myself on years after year after year after year is I take people with me. So I'm going to find someone to mentor. I'm going to find someone to help. I'm going to find someone that I can, hey, look, you're average right now. I'm going to help you be fantastic. And I've got a string of those people that I have taken pride in mentoring and helping, and by far that beats out all the money that I've made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I've had sales that are, when I first started out in sales, I was selling cell phones. So I was selling a $40 a month plan with a free phone and a free case and a free car charger.
Yeah.
And then I've sold as big as $15 million, in 1 year.
Yeah.
And so, but everything, all that is all the same. It's the people that I think I've carried along with me, that I've dragged along sometimes.
Yeah.
That have made the big difference in my career.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What a legacy, my friend. That's a huge one when you can make a difference for other people's lives.
What about you?
I would just, when I think about my biggest win, I think something that gave me confidence that I could do it. And so it wasn't the biggest sell of my life by far, but I was a young guy. Sometime after, whole struggle of the cancer story, but just struggling to get through it, and I made a cold call to a company, a really big company for a big opportunity. And I remember walking in there as a young guy, and there's this old gentleman, probably, 55, 60. He had nice gray hair, huge, opulent oak desk, high-powered executive. As soon as I walk in the door, he's just like, what are you doing here? This young kid walking into this high-powered executive's office. But I immediately diffused that with some of the sales techniques that I had used, and also showing him that I was serious about taking care of his business. And, creating a deep rapport with this man that I didn't have a lot in common with him. We were from a different generation, a few generations apart perhaps, but developed a good rapport. Learned how to do that through the sales training that I had, but really being sincere and serious about just showing him, hey, you know what? I'm here to take care of your business. I'm here for you. I'm serious about getting your business. I'm serious about everything. And we went on, we beat out a whole bunch of companies for the RFP, and I got a decent sized job. Back then it was about $75,000, which was my biggest sell up to that point. And that was a huge win for me. I knew that I could go and I could talk to anybody. I could relate to almost anybody if I wanted to, if I was sincere about it. And so that was just a huge confidence builder, that big win. And, just had a lot of those perseverance things. I had a lot of self-doubt dealing with this high-powered, eloquent executive, and I was just a young kid, but...
Did he try to abuse you a little bit?
He did, and I think he tried to intimidate me a little bit. I mean, his first words were, "What are you here for?" And then he just sat there and looked at me.
Surprised he didn't say, "What's your pitch? You got 2 minutes."
Yeah.
I'm walking out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So.
We've all had those moments.
Exactly.
Sounds like you nailed it.
Yeah, I fought through it, and at the end of the day, it turned out good, and we got the business, created a very long-term relationship. It was a very profitable client for many, many years, and that was a big win for me. But I got to tell you something. I don't think I would have got that if I hadn't dedicated myself to training. One of the big icebreakers. Now, this is going to seem a little bit, I don't know what the word is. It's just going to seem a little bit cheesy, perhaps. But when he sat me down, he looked at me and he said, "What do you want?" I froze. And this is going to sound cheesy. Everybody's heard this one, but I got to tell you, it worked, and it worked like a charm to this this high-powered executive. I was taking some sales classes. I was listening to some sales training from Brian Tracy and the observe technique. Like, we all know it. Like, look around their desk, ask them a question about it. Right?
Amen.
And so he froze. I was nervous. I was a young guy. I froze, and I just saw this picture of a young lady on his desk, and I asked, "Is that your daughter?" I don't know if that could have been his, trophy wife. You know what I'm saying? It could have been his trophy wife, but I just said, "Is that your daughter?" And he stopped, and he looked at it. He picked up his picture, and he got, a little emotional, and he said, "Yes, this is my daughter, and she's going through some really hardcore health struggles right now. She had something going on." And kind of told me the story. And then I just said, "Thanks for sharing that with me. I'm really sorry about your daughter, and I really hope that she gets better." Ice was broken, though. Ice was broken from what many consider a cheesy technique. And I don't know, again, it could have been his trophy wife, and it could have gone the other way, but it worked out for me in that instance. And I think without that, at that point, I would have frozen and everything would have been horrible. But I had studied it, I had learned it, and then I implemented it. It worked.
It worked.
Training worked for me in that instance, and I got a big job.
Awesome.
Without training, never would have happened. I would have froze like a popsicle. I would have sat there and looked at him awkwardly and just probably left, you know what I'm saying? But that's all.
Been nice talking to you.
It's kind of like what they say. I'm trying to remember the quote, but you will never outshine your training. You know what I'm saying? You'll never outshine your training.
Yeah,
You'll fall back to your training,
the
level of training.
You've got to be maniacal about being good, about learning. You got to get obsessed with your craft.
Yes.
Most people don't think of sales as a craft.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them think of it as an accidental career.
Yes.
Like the book.
Yeah.
Accidental salespeople. Hey, I studied X or Y, and I ended up in sales because I have a fun personality.
Exactly.
And they don't realize that there are certain things that you can do for your sales career within a training perspective that's really going to help you. Mm-hmm. Most people just think that you're either a salesperson or you're not.
Exactly.
And I've found over the years that there's been people over my career that have been really successful, and I've looked at them, and in my younger years, I'd scratch my head and be like, man, how is this person successful?
Yeah.
They don't have a great personality.
Exactly.
They're not very dynamic.
Exactly.
But somehow they get it done year after year, and a lot of it's because they got obsessed with being good at sales.
Exactly.
Figuring out how it works, taking care of their customer, relating to them in ways that they can, and they attracted the people that worked for them.
Yep, that's exactly right.
So anyone can be good.
Yes.
If they want to.
Anybody can be good. Earlier on, when I was studying the craft, I listened to an audio program, and I remember these words: sales success is based upon law. It's based upon law. It is science. Now, you can throw some art in there, and I know everybody likes the art and trying to be charismatic and trying to be amazing and trying to be a showman, but sales success is a science.
It is.
If you do this and this and this in a formulaic way, you follow the recipe that's been laid out before you, you train, you learn out the recipe, and you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you're going to have success because it is based upon law. There's lots of different variables, understandable, but it's based upon law. And if you do that, if you perform the law over and over and over again over an extended period of time, you will have success. And so when I learned that, it just, a light bulb went in my head. It's a law. I need to learn the laws of sales success. I need to implement the laws of sales success, and I will be successful.
Absolutely.
And that's what I dedicated myself to for 15 years, is figuring out that law.
Hey man, I was the classic artist.
Yeah.
When I first got into sales, it was very natural to me.
Mm-hmm.
I blew it up, and I blew it up quickly. And I remember maybe a year or so after being really successful, and some of the things I was doing not working anymore.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And I remember my brother told me, you know, we kind of had this discussion, and he didn't say science or anything like that, but a lot of it was your talent, charisma, et cetera, it works, but it only works for so long.
Yeah.
You've got to mingle in the true art of sales, which is, there is a science to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's, I mean, I've kind of had that problem in and out over the years because I do have kind of one of those personalities that likes to entertain and be excited and tell stories, and I can do that. But when it comes down to it, it all comes back to, okay, what's your system?
Yeah.
How are you calling people? What type of information are you giving them? And it's like, well, that's the boring side, I know, but that's how you get it done year after year after year.
Exactly.
It's just like the Ironman. You can be the most talented runner, cyclist, swimmer, but if you're not day in and day out doing the same thing over and over again, you're not going to finish.
Exactly.
You won't complete it.
Exactly right. You know, and I think we just, as human beings, we revert to what's easy to us, what's natural to us. And I mean, there's obviously a place for the art and for your own personality. It's just, you know, when I speak to business owners and salespeople, I ask them, what's your sales system? What's your sales plan? We don't have one. We're just doing it. I mean, you know, we're just doing.
We get a guy, we put him on the phone.
Yeah.
We hope that he starts running into stuff.
Yeah.
We send him out to businesses.
And it's going to work because there's activity going on. You know, every action, there's a reaction. You know, the Newtonian laws of physics says that. But when you start to understand that there's more effective actions that you can take that will yield a larger result, you know, kind of like if you drop a bomb on a city, it's kind of a sinister example, I guess. It's going to do its job and kill some people, but if you drop an atomic bomb, it's going to kill millions, you know what I mean? Right. Same action, you drop it. But what is the end result? So what is the action that you're taking that can yield more results? And that's where the science of sales success comes in. And frankly, that's why 20% of salespeople are outselling the rest of the 80% of salespeople, because they know, either they've been trained or they just have known innately within themselves how to be more scientific, how to be more process oriented in their sales, or what can yield them the best result more than the other 80%. And that's what they follow. And so I guess our jobs as, you know, sales leaders or sales managers or a sales trainer is help these other people that don't understand there's a sales process or don't understand there's a sales science, help them understand that, plug in their own personality to the science, and all of a sudden you have a sales explosion.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it's just, you know, science and we took science in high school together, I believe. And who knew that many years later we'd be speaking about science?
Absolutely. It's all coming clear now.
Mr. I can't remember his name now. Fred. Anyways, it doesn't matter.
So here's a question. So
sure.
When your last tape that you did, you talked about being all in.
Yeah.
Maybe we could talk about that for a minute. When we decided we were all in.
Yeah, sure. When.
And maybe it doesn't have to be sales. It could be something else. Yeah. Something relatable that people can latch onto.
Sure. That's a good question. When did I know that I was all in? I think the story, the staring death in the face story, helped me immensely. But I've wanted to be in sales training for a long, long time. And I was in a very successful, lucrative sales career, and it was hard for me to break away from that because it was treating me so well. Why would I leave that to go do something completely different? And I think the time where I said I was all in is when I told my boss, I'm leaving.
Oh, yeah.
I sat him down. Well, he was in my office and we were talking, and he was, hey, how do we blow up sales? I was a sales manager of the company. How do we blow up sales? I'm excited about this year. Really cool guy. Loved him and everything. And I just said, hey, I got something crazy to tell you, my friend. He's like, what? I'm like, I'm leaving. Like, you're leaving? Like, I was the sales manager, and I was the top dog in sales by like probably triple. Like the next sales rep below me was, I did triple what he did in my own sales. So it was hard pill for him to swallow for sure. He didn't believe me though. Like, whatever, quit being stupid, quit playing around, man. Let's talk. I'm like, no, dude. Like, I'm really leaving. Like, I'm leaving, and I'll give you as much time as you want me to give you, but I'm leaving, and I'm gonna go do my own thing. And that was the moment where I went to the cliff, and I jumped off, and I just started falling. I'm all in, baby. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all in right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no going back.
Hopefully there's not a rock down there at the bottom.
Which there could be. Who knows? But it's like, I'm all in now. You know what I mean? I'm all in. And that was a huge leap of faith, where, man, I'll tell you, it was scary. I doubted myself, but at the end of the day, I just said, hey, I've got to be all in on what I want to do with my life, or again, I'll be sitting when I'm 75 years old or 80 years old saying, I really wish I would have done that, but I didn't. And now it's too late. One day it's going to be too late for whatever we want to do. And so take that leap, jump, you got to take that risk and jump. And, as they say, I guess you'll learn how to fly on the way down, or, who knows, if it doesn't work out, at least you tried. But, maybe you've seen this, who Steve Harvey is, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Steve Harvey. I like him. He's a good man. But he's got this video. You've seen that one where he talked to the crowd, just kind of ad lib, where he talked about just jumping off the cliff.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And you pull your parachute, but sometimes it doesn't open immediately, and you might hit some rocks. That was a huge inspiration to me at that time.
Was it really?
Yeah. I was like, you know what? Because I was this close for 6 months, and every time you're like, I don't know.
Not yet.
Oh, yeah, like
paychecks.
I got little kids, I got this. I don't know. Paycheck's too good for this, but
paycheck's too good.
Yeah.
Road of success is too long.
Yeah.
I can't give this residual up.
I know.
I can't do it.
I know. It was good
inspiring.
for me. Yeah, it was good for me. I was a mini celebrity in the industry. Dustin Dart, wow, he's up there. I'd go to another office in the company out in New York City, like, Dustin Dart's coming. Wow, there he is. I've heard so much about you. Wow, you know what I mean? Give it all up. Give it all up. Jumped off the cliff, and that was.
So how's it been since now?
Dude, it's been amazing because of the lessons I've learned through struggle. You know what I mean? Had to learn it all over again. But I'll tell you, that's not the biggest currency. The biggest currency in life are the lessons that you learn. It's not the money, as you mentioned earlier. The money's coming. You know what I mean? The money's coming. But it's the lessons that you learn. It's the staring at yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, you're good enough, man. When you're doubting yourself and you look at yourself, you're good enough. And I think everybody in sales or business, you have to give yourself those talks again. You're going to meet with a huge client, but the biggest competitors, they're meeting with them as well. Are you going to outshine the competitors? You're good enough. You got to believe in yourself. You're good enough. You are good enough. And if you have that belief, it's going to transmit to everybody else. You know what I mean? And so when you walk in the door, and this is a huge sales principle, you walk in the door, you're confident, you're convicted. Whatever you feel inside will pass on to everybody else. You don't have to say a word, but what you feel inside is going to pass on everybody else. And they're going to say inside of themselves, maybe on like a sixth sense level, this guy's confident, and you're like a mirror. Whatever you transmit, you're going to get back. You project confidence because that's what you feel inside. People are going to give you confidence. You project self-doubt or fear or, trepidation. That's what you're going to get back. You're going to get back doubt. You're going to get back fear, and you're going to get back trepidation. And you're going to lose the deal.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's something that everybody needs to do. Like, what is your self-talk? What is your self-image? That's one of the biggest thing for me is, what is your self-image? What you believe yourself to be is what you are.
So where is your coaching business going to be in 2 years from now? In 1 year from now?
In short order, in a few years, the sales and coaching business will be one of the premier sales training organizations in America. And I'll be among the top sales trainers in America, not for glory, but because I truly have a mission inside where I believe I have a message that salespeople need to hear. It's a message that they're not hearing from most of the other sales trainers out there. It's a different message. It's a heartfelt message. It's like a mission. And if I can pass on the message to salespeople that I have, they'll feel a sense of their own mission in their sales career, and will propel them to sales success because it's not based upon the flashy, hardcore closing, the rolling up in your BMW or your Bentley or your Rolls Royce or whatever else. Not saying those things are bad. Hey, if you can do it, do it. That's cool. Be proud of it. But that's not going to relate to the regular salesperson in Kansas City that is struggling with 3 kids, and one of them has a problem. He needs to have a deeper sense of his mission, or their mission, let's say, a guy, gal, whoever it happens to be. And if you can learn to sell from your core, it's going to be much more effective than selling from your head, trying to learn the latest close or the latest trick to get somebody to buy. If you sell from here, people are going to relate to you, they're going to like you, they're going to trust you, and you'll do what's required to have success.
Awesome. And this is why you want to do live presentations opposed to online, because everybody's got an app. There's an online tool somewhere that you can listen to. There's YouTube. There's all these type of things. Is this why you want to do it in person?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, that is. I mean, I want to bring that old school type of one-on-one training where you're in the room with somebody and you can get the message across. If somebody has a question in the moment, they ask and I respond. And so the level of understanding, the level of penetration of the principle we're talking about is much deeper than just watching some video on YouTube or watching a video on an online training program. It's kind of like everybody has their favorite band, right? Like, you have your favorite band. Let's just say I love the Eagles. Love the Eagles. They're great. I listen to them on road trips. I love the Eagles. I sing them at the top of my lungs. But then I go to concert. I go to a live concert and I watch the Eagles live. Unfortunately, that's not possible anymore because what's his name died, right? But you watch them live. How's that experience compared to listening to the CD in your car? It's completely different. I don't remember the last time I listened to the Eagles, but I do remember in 2001 that I saw them in concert with my then girlfriend who became my wife, and it was freaking amazing. I loved it. So the live experience, it's going to affect me forever. It's going to change me forever. And that's what I hope to do in a live sales presentation is there's transformation there. And there's transformation that you can't get in a digital format. The live presentation, the live environment, it will change salespeople's from the inside, which will then change their actions, which will then change their results. And so that's why I'm going to be going on tour, major cities across America, and we're going to be pressed in the flesh and giving these seminars live.
Awesome. Tell us about the book.
Yeah, Open the Cell.
What is Open the Cell about?
This book came about because of a need to bring integrity back, bring sincerity back to the sales process. After that whole story of I need to take sales seriously, I need to become a sales master. I studied the sales master. And for a time, I became what would be considered a hardcore closer. I was a closer, a hardcore closer. I would use all of the closes. I had them all memorized. If they said this, I will say this. Then if they say that, then I will say this. And I had a rebuttal for everything. I was a hardcore closer. Nobody could escape my close, right? And so after time, it became less effective. And I was talking to a potential client one time, and it was a guy that we created rapport, which is old school sales training. I liked him, he liked me. Went through the whole process, and then came time for the close, and I started licking my lips. Like, dude, this guy's gonna buy this big old deal for me. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna close this guy. And so went in for the close, and he gave me his reason why it didn't work out right now, and I went for the other close, until finally, this guy whom I respected just kind of like started shaking his head. Like, Dustin, are you trying to close me? You know?
Awesome.
Like, are you trying to close me? I'm like, I didn't know what to say at that point. That was the one rebuttal that was the one thing I didn't know how to respond to. You know what I mean? Like, a guy that I liked and respected asked me if I was trying to close him, and he's like, dude, closing's dead. And it's just like, my whole world changed. Like, okay. And I went through a process of, I didn't know what to do for a while. I didn't know how to sell anymore, because I knew before that closing was, I don't know, it was just, what's the word? Unethical. It was dirty. It was just weird. I didn't feel right about it. You know what I'm saying? It's just weird and awkward. And so I tried to find another sales system. Like, at that point, I'd learned sales success is a law. I tried to find another sales system, and I searched. I went to seminars. I went to books, but the vast majority of them had closing as their apex. Like, it was closing. I just couldn't get away from it until finally I said, I got to come up with my own process. And so I decided one day to go up to the mountains, up in the Uinta Mountains by myself with a notepad. Drove up there, pitched my tent, started a fire, slept in the tent by myself, up in the woods in the wilderness. Next morning, took a long nature hike, came back down. I sat down with pen and paper, and it just came to me. The new sales process that I was going to use. Closing wasn't involved at all. And like, as soon as it came, like, have you had those experiences where it's just like, from the ether it flows, right?
Right.
Like, somehow it just like came. And I knew I had a winner, and I started to implement it in my own sales process, and the clients loved it. They respected me. I respected them. Everybody was happy, and my sales dramatically increased. My conversion rates dramatically increased because it was a whole new way of sales. And basically what it is, instead of closing, it's literally the 100% opposite. It's opening. Like, salespeople have such a horrible reputation in the professional industry, the professional world now, because of the closers. And when you meet somebody for the first time in a sales situation, they immediately close down. Like, they're already closed. So as a skilled professional in the new world, in this new information age that we have, you've got to learn how to skillfully open these people up so that they start to consider your option or consider your product or service or even consider talking to you. And you start to open them up until finally they become fully open and they decide to make the sell. And so it was born out of a personal need that I just didn't see fit in the marketplace. There was a need, but there wasn't a system in the marketplace. And that's where the book was born. And it's called Open the Sell.
Awesome.
So
inspirational.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So, closing. I'm a sales trainer. And guess what? I hate speaking to salespeople. I don't like it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't like to talk to salespeople.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable. It's like there's that feeling inside. It's like, I don't want to even talk to you. I'm a sales guy. I'm a sales trainer. Like, this is my world. But I don't even like to talk to salespeople because
I tell Holly that all the time.
Yeah. You go to car lot or you go wherever, and it's just like
anywhere.
Oh my gosh.
Anyone calls, we get a salesperson, I always say the same thing. Man, I hate salespeople. What are you talking about? You've been in sales for 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, that's just awful.
Exactly.
Because they're always trying to get something.
Yes.
Once you start having open conversation and giving options and solutions, and opposed to just when are you going to buy?
Mm-hmm.
What can I do to force you to buy?
Yes.
Life changes
Yes.
quite a bit.
Exactly.
It is.
It makes
it's
the process
very
enjoyable.
uncomfortable.
When you sell in the new way, it makes the process actually enjoyable.
Absolutely.
You enjoy the sense of purpose of a salesperson begins to deepen when they start to sell in the new way of the new open era. I mean, listen, society's changed dramatically in the last 10 years because of the internet, because of just a lot of different forces. We're in the middle of the information age. We're much more educated humanity than we were 10 or 15 years ago. And so the vast majority of sales training programs out there are still teaching like it's 1985.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you're learning how to sell like it's 30 years ago or 40 years ago, it's not going to be congruent to how society is anymore. We've changed.
Oh, yeah.
And so they're trying to plug this old system into this new way, and it's like it doesn't fit. In fact, it's repelling people away. And again, that's why salespeople have that horrible reputation where we're sales guys, but we hate speaking to salespeople. You know what I mean? And so there's just a need for a fresh look at the sales process, a fresh look at the way we interact with clients, the way we present our offers. That's in a much more serving way rather than a selling way, if that makes sense. If you can make your purpose to serve somebody, not only do you get more satisfaction, they're much more open to your solution because you're there to serve, and they can sense that. I mean, just making that mindset shift of I'm here to serve, I'm here to open somebody, rather than I'm here to close somebody. Just that, people will sense that.
Oh yeah,
and
dramatically.
It's gonna change the game for you.
Oh, yeah.
The whole dynamics of the sales conversation change when they know you're sincerely there to help them and to serve them, rather than to close them.
No doubt, man. A good lesson for single people as well.
Oh yeah.
So what are you doing tomorrow night? You have plans?
Yeah.
What about the next night?
Exactly.
Or the next night?
Get away from me, creep. I'm gonna call the cops on you.
I know. It can't be that way. It just can't.
Yeah.
Well, it's inspirational, man. I think you have a tremendous amount to offer to salespeople out there. I think you've got a niche for, new people getting into sales that don't know anything, and I think you've got experience that'll help people that have been doing it for 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
I think that you've got a program, I think you've got a book, I think you've thought it through, and I think it's just a matter of time now before people hear this message and they get it and they start changing their careers and they get better. And I think you're going to look back on these marker moments where you told your boss, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
It's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And not just for you, it's going to be worth it for a lot of people because they're going to look back and say, man, I'm glad he did that.
Yeah.
So now the question is, you've got to get the message out.
Yeah.
And I know that's kind of what we're doing today, but I think you got to, I don't know, shout it from the rooftops, man, because you've got a great message.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. It's just got to get out.
Yeah. Well, that's the mission. That's the mission that's inside of me. That's the message I have inside of me, and that's what we're here for. That's what we do. That's what we've done all the sacrifices, gone through those sacrifices and those struggles for, is to get this out, to help salespeople, help sales managers, business owners to understand there's a better way, and not only is it better, like, for the salesperson, and it's better for the client. It's better for everybody, and it's going to help people sell dramatically more than they are right now, and it's going to affect their pocketbooks at the end of the day because it's just a better way. And so it's a positive all the way around.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win, win-win, and keep winning. No downside. So,
dude, it's awesome.
Cool, man. Well, you got any other questions, Jordan?
No.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I'm inspired. I think you've got an enormous amount to offer. I think it's just a matter of time. I hope that I hope I can be a very small part of it, but
absolutely.
I think you've got the experience, you've got the talent, you've got the way to communicate that is going to help people. Yeah. So I just
well, I appreciate you
I'm glad that you were able to share this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, to have support from friends, have support from family, no matter what your career path takes, that means a lot to a lot of people. I appreciate you being in my corner. Appreciate you sharing some of your insights as well.
No problem, man.
You're a sales legend in itself, and you have a lot to offer as well. So hopefully these conversations can continue.
Absolutely.
You know, hopefully it's been valuable for the audience. Hopefully it's been valuable for the marketplace out there. And if so, let's keep doing it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Sounds
Thanks a lot,
good.
brother.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
You're the man.